We're live. Look at that.
Go time.
Good
You got
morning,
Jack looking off
RJ.
screen.
He's
My mom
tired.
asked me if I
How we
wanted
doing,
to bunk in.
RJ?
It's early.
No, I
What
stayed
time
up
did you get to
later.
bed?
It's 11
That's
o'clock.
the
It's not that it's
problem.
early. We're
I
creatures
know.
of the night.
No, I
Yeah,
know.
that's
What
the
time did you go to
problem.
bed?
I didn't fall asleep till like 4:30, which is
Oh
a
my
problem.
God.
Which is way later than
Gosh.
I've been going to sleep lately. So
You could ask
I'm
Henry for some
not
tips.
feeling it. I know, dude. I just need to steal his like drugs, and then I'll be good.
No, those keep him awake, right? That's the opposite.
I know, but like maybe if I take
Yeah,
them,
don't take the wrong pills.
No, you just ask him. Be like,
I'll
Henry,
develop.
like you're really good at sleeping. What should I do?
Well, I
See what
told
he
you that
says.
I have like convinced myself that I am the reason he has it, and I feel
No.
really bad.
Is it
Well,
the baseball bat thing?
Yeah. So, Bob, did I tell you? I've told you that
Yeah.
story, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like half convinced that I did it, so I feel really guilty. But my mom's like, Jack, there's no fucking way you did it. But
Yeah, I don't think that tracks.
I don't know.
Clear your conscience.
We'll see. Hey chat. Hey RJ. How we doing, everybody? How about I do an intro, then we kick it? Thoughts?
I'm in.
Let's get going. All right. And we are back with another edition of How About Them Celtics Talkin' C's with Bobby Kravitsky of SI Media Group. How you doing today, Bobby?
Doing fantastic. Thank God that basketball is back. So excited to dive into that, as well as some off-court comments and developments that we will be addressing on the show today.
Yes, sir. Plenty of Celtics
Who doesn't
stuff to
love
talk
the
about.
off court?
We're here. We're here. Bobby, I was telling Sam last night, I had a parlay on 3 games. Sam, did you see that it didn't hit or that it barely didn't hit? So,
Usually
Bobby,
when you tell me there's a parlay, I just assume you're going to wake up the next day with less money in your account.
Bobby, I bet on 3 underdogs. I took the Knicks, the Hornets, and the Spurs, and then the Spurs were up by 4 with a minute left, and then they lost. And
Come on, Wemby.
I was in shambles. But
the Hornets is a good team to bet on, though, especially as a dog right now.
It's the Grant effect.
Shout out to the Grant Williams-led Hornets.
Grant had 24 last night.
They won the game. He continues to cook.
I love it. But
when do the Celtics have Charlotte?
What's up?
It's got to be soon. They've only played them once.
That's a good question.
If Grant has a big game and they lose, I'm going to be very upset.
They play the Hornets.
He's coming for revenge after that Tatum block in Dallas.
Sam, I don't think you could paint a better day for them to play the Hornets. They play him on April Fool's Day.
Oh.
They play Grant on April Fool's Day, which is just next level, like NBA messing with them. But
it's the basketball gods.
Celtics are back. 7 wins in a row with their victory last night over the Chicago Bulls, 129-112. A little bit of a scare in the second quarter. And then Jayson Tatum dragged him right back in the third. It was sort of a 1-2-3 punch for the Celtics. Derek White scored in the first, Jaylen Brown scored in the second, Jayson Tatum scored in the third, and then sort of wrapped back around to Derek White again in the fourth. But the Celtics did a good job of responding after a what do you want to call it? A Nikola Vucevic takeover in the second. They found their way back. They picked up a big win. And outside of that stretch where they couldn't really stop Vucevic, they just kind of walked the Bulls. Like it didn't, like I was telling Sam last night, Bobby, it didn't really feel like a close game to me, even when the Bulls were winning, because I didn't think the Bulls' success was sustainable. But that was just in my own head. But what do you think of the win, Tatum's performance in the third, all the stuff that we saw last night?
No, I think that's how most people saw it, and definitely the Celtics shared that perspective. And look, the second quarter they stopped playing defense, and you don't love that, but you don't need to play 48 minutes of defense to beat the Bulls. And so this was a tune-up for the schedule getting difficult now moving forward. It was nice to see that at the beginning of the game, coming out of the break, that they were sharp. And then you mentioned the 2 components of what happened in the third quarter there. Defensively, they were more active, especially as Joe Mazzulla likes to put it, their shift activity. And just there was more focus and physicality as well. The Bulls were getting into the paint way too easily in the second quarter. Plus, there were a lot of turnovers from Boston. I believe they had 5 in that second frame. So there was just sloppy play and a lack of focus for one quarter, first game back from the break. I'm not going to, pan them for it. And then in the third quarter, defensively, like I said, they were excellent. And Jayson Tatum with his aggressive play and continuing, even with all the narratives that we'll get to around where he is in the MVP conversation and that we've hit on recently. Even with that, it was don't get bored, making the right play over and over again. So he comes down, for example, and instead of trying to toy around with the basketball and take someone one-on-one for a mid-range jumper, he brings them right into the post. He draws to Sumu. He comes down, and immediately it's a kick out to Derek White for an open three. It's just another one of these endless examples of Jayson Tatum making winning plays, even though it's at the expense of his scoring. It's better for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I texted Jack during the game yesterday. I told this story in the recap today, but I texted him a half. I was like, this guy is really going to come out and do this after a whole week of MVP talk. And then in the second half, he completely changed the way he was attacking. He went right to the basket, like you mentioned, got himself to the line, then got some confidence and started to just rain down all over Chicago. They had no answer for him. And he looked the most comfortable he's looked all season, just like any other game. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that he was cold to start off and he took complete control over Chicago. It was great to watch. And you mentioned that he was able to impact the game by setting up his teammates as well. And that's a huge part of why this team should be able to make a deep playoff run, because Tatum has become a little bit of a shapeshifter in his own right, as I always call Derek White that. But he has the ability to be a superstar across multiple categories, whether it is scoring, which we've seen his whole career. Setting up his teammates now has become a main focal point for him. He talked to Jared Weiss this week and talked about how important it is for him to kick out of doubles, find one of the other guards, and they will make the extra pass to set up whoever's open. On defense, we've seen him take over and lead by example on that end of the floor too, whether it's coming out before the season being like, I want to be on the all defensive team, or literally going out there saying, I'm going to guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and shutting him down in the fourth quarter in OKC. Despite the loss, they made up a ton of ground because of that decision. So he can lead all over the floor, and he's proving day by day to be a great leader for this Celtics team.
Yeah, Tatum completely turned it around in that third quarter, especially with his passing and with his playmaking and just his ability to draw too. Like, he drew for the hoop, got some free throws, made a couple shots, but then there was one play where he drove into, I think it was Kobe White, and I had assumed who helped him, and then he just like flicked it out, made the easiest pass in the world. Derek White got an open three.
That's the one I brought up.
Yeah. So
shout out to when hosts aren't listening.
Sorry.
But Jack's tired.
But the point is, sorry, I was admittedly on Twitter looking for something. But
okay.
The point is, like, Jayson Tatum doesn't have to be red hot for an entire game. Like, being Jayson Tatum is enough. Like, that's what it is for him, and that's what it is for most of the guys on this team. At that point, I will also say, Sam mentioned the recap. I walked out to use the bathroom before I jumped on here, and I heard Sam's voice, and I was very confused. It's because Henry was playing the show out loud on his phone, and I was like in the twilight zone. I'm like, what? Why do I?
Was like, oh, did you have your headphones on or something? I was like, well, I didn't load up into the actual stage. I sat in the little backstage area in the street.
It really messed me up. It threw me for a whole loop. I was like, what is going on?
I can't get away from this guy.
I know.
Henry for being a good friend of the program.
Messed me up. It messed me up. But shout out Tatum. Shout out Derek White. I said this on the thing last night. He was the best player on the floor consistently. Like his ability to not only be the best shot blocker at the guard position, perhaps in the NBA. I mean, in terms of pure shot blocking talent, like there is, I am tall, I will get blocks, and there is, I know how to block shots, and Derek White knows how to block shots. I think he's a top 5 defender in the league.
The most impressive one, Jack, was when Vucevic faced him up.
When he just faced him up.
Stuffed
dude. No.
And then right after that, Julian Phillips gets it, and he swats him even more emphatically. It was a nice sequence for your boy.
I said this to Sam last night. I'm curious what you think. I think Derek White's the best at drawing free throws on the team in terms of getting to lane. Maybe Kristaps is a little bit better in terms of just being able to turn around and flick his arms up. But in terms of driving into contact in the lane, I think Derek White might be the best at getting to the line from those spots. Just like, he can go to so many different things. Like, he can go to the floater. He can go to, just drive and finish through contact. Obviously, he can, hit the little middies. He's got the 3 ball, but like, his offensive game is so much more diverse than when he got here. And it's completely changed him as a player.
Yeah, he has tremendous body control. Like, he got a 2-footed floater in the first half. That was a prime example of that. And you're right about his ability to get to the free throw line. It's tough to square that away with the gap in volume between him and Tatum. And Tatum, I think people instinctively, at least some, might still be on he avoids contact and all of that. But he has really improved at that. And it's not just about putting on muscle, it's about having confidence in applying it. So this season, more than ever, and it's been a continual growth from one year to the next, but this season in particular, he's going through people's chest and it doesn't matter. So I still think Tatum holds that crown. But again, maybe that's skewed by just the difference in volume and opportunity.
I agree. I think the opportunity has been there for Derek White, but it's also come because he's been more confident. I think the playoffs last year did a lot for his confidence as a player. I know we've heard him go on I think it's just Reddick he really goes on the podcast, but he's talked about the lack of confidence he has had just because of his kind of road to the NBA. It's non-traditional, had to go to junior college and work his way through that. And then he joins the Spurs, doesn't get a lot of playing time. And Popovich had to keep reminding him, you can play. You're a good player. You can play. And he truly came into his own in the playoffs last year. I remember the first game 1 against Atlanta, he came out and lit them up on fire. And then he had various moments throughout the playoff run where he was great, obviously the winner in Miami. And it's carried over into this season where he's on a star-studded team, and he has been the biggest storyline maybe of the entire season because of how well he's been able to play in numerous roles, whether it has to be the leading scorer like it was in Chicago last night, or he's just out there to take 6 shots, knock down a couple threes, and play good defense. He's comfortable doing it all, and he's been super clutch. He's got the confidence to take the big shots in the big moments this year. His clutch numbers have been unbelievable. They've been floating around Twitter the last couple days, and he's like, 60% from the field, something crazy like that. So it's huge to have somebody like Derek White on this team. And to go back to your initial point about drawing contact, that's a big time weapon he can use to keep his confidence high. If he's getting free throws, which he is a great free throw shooter, we saw him making the blindfolded ones with Big Cat. He's going to see the ball go in and have more faith in the 3-point shot or whatever it is he's doing. So Derek White has been nothing short of spectacular this year, and he's surprised everybody, and the contact drawing is just another cherry on top. Like, he's got like 10 cherries on top of whatever dessert you want to call Derek White.
It threw me off how you pronounce Big Cat. Like, you're not.
I was in the middle of talking and I said it wrong.
It threw me. He said Big Cat. I'm like,
Big Cat. Yeah.
Big Cat. He is. I suppose he is a big cat. Another thing that came out yesterday, I believe it was before the game, Joe Mazzulla talking about the difference of, it's weird to say it, but I'll explain it, of Brown and Tatum. I'll read the quote here quick. Mazzulla said, the most important thing is separating the two. They've been lumped together for so long, and they're different people, they're different types of players, they're different types of leaders. And just because they're both young and they both play relatively the same position, they've always been the two of them. A goal of mine has been to separate them. They're different in how they go about things, and they don't have to be similar. They don't have to be best friends. When they have is a mutual respect for each other, the way they go about it, their professionalism, the way they prepare for games, and their understanding and their growing understanding that they need each other and they need their teammates. They have to be able to express who they are differently and not constantly to be compared to each other. They're not the same. At the same time, they're two pillars of our team, and they're both doing a great job growing, and they need each other, and they and how they need people around them, but also they got to be the best players in the court for us. And I think they've done a good job of that. So effectively what Mazzulla is saying is stop saying Tatum and Brown, say Tatum and Brown, pretty much, which I get. I have to imagine it can be somewhat frustrating, constantly being like, oh, you're not Jayson Tatum. And for Jayson Tatum, oh, well, it's Tatum and Brown. Like, it's the 2-man show. I would imagine it's more frustrating on the Jaylen end of it because it is never going to be just Jaylen unless he decides to leave the Celtics. It will always be Jaylen and Jayson. Well, unless Jayson leaves the Celtics too. But I do think that sort of individual identity is important, and good for Mazzulla for emphasizing it.
Yeah, I think being from here and then being back in this region for quite some time now, Mazzulla is well aware, especially when it came to Patriots coverage of that dynasty, that it was a lot of, is it Brady or Belichick, and kind of driving a wedge. And even if you remember the Isaiah Thomas era Celtics, that he went out for a little bit and the Celtics continued to play well, and Terry Rozier stepped up for a minute, and there was talk of, are they better off trading Isaiah? So he has seen that narrative get tossed out repeatedly, regardless of sport. And if media members feel like they really have something there, then they will pound that and just milk it for all it's worth and not let it go. And he doesn't want that seeping into the locker room. The Celtics as an organization care very much about having a knowledgeable, educated fan base. They don't want to deal with anyone, any level, who's just indulging in that type of a conversation. So he doesn't want it to be Tatum versus Brown. He doesn't want it to only be Tatum and Brown. He wants you to appreciate them for what they bring to the table individually as well as collectively. And I can't wait to ask him, because what really stuck out to me there is when he says it's been a goal of mine to separate them. I'd like to know what Joe Mazzulla's role in that. And is it as simple as just accentuating those natural personality quirks that play out on the court for them? Where, for example, Jayson Tatum, we saw it last night. He had 5 points in the first half. He likes to ease his way into the game. A lot of stars do. Jaylen Brown typically sets the tone and comes out like his hair is on fire. And so I'd like to know what Joe Mazzulla's role is when he says that's a goal of his, in trying to accentuate that these are two different individuals in terms of personality and performance.
Yeah, and to your point about how they start games, Tatum talked about that with Jared Weiss in the Athletic article this week, and he talked about it. It's like, listen, my job is not always to be the scorer. I have to read how my teammates are playing, and Jaylen is great coming out, and I like to ease into the game a bit more. So he has an understanding of how the two work well together, and I think Jaylen does too. I think we've seen a lot of sacrifice from Jaylen, especially as of late, where it's like, wow, Jaylen only took 12 shots today. Like last night, he had the 4th most shots on the team. That's very out of character for Jaylen, especially how things went maybe the first like literal half of the season. It feels like after the 41st game, around that time, it's been a smaller dose of Jaylen. I don't know if that's by design or it's by read, but regardless, he has been efficient. He has been able to read the game, and he has been somebody that's proven to be, I don't want to compare him to Luke Cornett because I don't think that's fair for his skill set, but you're not noticing Jaylen play poorly. You're noticing him when he plays well, or you're just kind of not noticing him, which is kind of how you want it to be. If he's playing poorly, we've seen so many instances in the past where you're like, wow, this guy's really hurting the Celtics. It's just not what's happening anymore. He's really developed a great chemistry with not only Tatum, but the rest of the crew. And I think Mazzulla has a lot to do with that. He talks so much about mindset and keeping these guys engaged and focused on what the ultimate goal is, which is to win a title. So very big props to Joe on that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, they're just, like Joe said, they're very similar players in terms of build, the position they play, what they do on the court, their best skill sets. Like, they're scoring wings. Like, when they came in the league, that is what they were. That is likely both of their best assets still. And so you sort of have to find ways. It's a big reason why everyone was like, oh, can they win together? Like, can the Jays win together? Even though they've been to like a million Eastern Conference finals now and one finals. Like, oh, I don't know if they can. I think the more important part almost is the way they've sort of carved out individual roles for each of them. Like, even past what you mentioned of the scoring in different times, like Jaylen's scoring a lot of his buckets in transition this year. Like, that is his job. Like, his niche job on the court is to get the ball, run in transition, score the point. Jayson Tatum is to, set screens, receive screens, find the mismatch, and play out of the double teams that he gets. Like, they're both like getting very niche roles to where their best skill sets can thrive, rather than just like they said on the broadcast last night, rather than just the offense being, all right, here you go, Jaylen, or here you go, Jayson, figure something out in the half court, go do whatever. Like, they're both getting to hone in on stuff that they're good at. On top of the fact that, like, I feel like this year more than any year, you've seen off the court stuff from both of them, just like being their own people, doing their own things, like starting their own ventures, even past the, Jaylen, trying lobbying for a bill, or Jayson starting his whatever you want to call it with SoFi. I forget what the word is. His program with SoFi, like Jaylen Brown rocking blank shoes at the All-Star game, like hinting at like, oh, I might start a shoe brand. Jayson Tatum working on the Tatum 4s when the Tatum 3s aren't even released yet. Like, they're both working on off-court ventures individually and building their own brands while also working together. So I think it's been a good year in terms of these are two different players, treat them as such, and credit Joe for that. And like you said, Bobby, curious to know how he's played a role in that.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that answer and be curious to speak to him on the subject. I think that was really well said right there, Jack. And then a different talking point that I want to pivot to from last night was Jayson Tatum at the podium discussing what we've been hitting on here throughout the show today, which is it's required sacrifice. And you might look at the winning and say, oh, well, that must be easy. But he talked about that, hey, I'm human and this is a process. And he was asked, do you enjoy this, or is that something that you won't know until you win a title, or if that effort is a failure, perhaps? And so shout out to Jared Weiss for the question. And Tatum was like, look, this is something where, you try to make the right play every time, but it's not easy. And he talked about that the only issue he has in the MVP conversation is what we brought up, that the narrative that 2022 is held against him, which Brian Windhorst put out there as not, in my opinion, but in speaking with other voters, they said this. And so that is garbage, as we've hit on. But for Tatum, I thought it was a very candid moment where you could see, normally he's stoic at the podium, but you could see that intensity start to come out and that focus and fire of, I know I can average 30 every night. And it's not easy to not do so because it's in the best interest of the team. But I also believe, and I think he understands, that this is the most likely path to getting what he wants. And if he wins a championship, then he really vaults to the forefront of that face of the league conversation. And the more success he's having on a team front as the best player on it, the more and more likely he is to ultimately take the torch from the LeBron James and Steph Currys of the world.
That's so true. And it kind of ties back into what Jack was talking about with him specifically doing all of these off court things, making his sneakers, doing the sponsorships. If they win a title, he's going to go up into a new stratosphere in terms of popularity locally and also nationally. I think there is going to be a great deal of respect that's earned if they finish the job this year finally. And I think there is a fatigue amongst the casual fans slash national perspective on the Celtics. It's like, okay, like, yeah, they're supposed to win every year and they never do. Why is it? And then everyone's like, well, maybe Tatum's not the guy. Well, it is hilarious that Windhorst mentioned voters being like, well, 2022 finals, man, sucked. I mean, Embiid won an MVP. That man gets beat by Tatum every year. Every year they beat Philly. It's a guarantee. So why is it not being held against Embiid, who is a great personality? He's super popular. He's charismatic. He has all of it, but he can't play in the playoffs. He's not durable, and it doesn't matter because it's a regular season award. The same should be said for Tatum. But going back to the more positive spot, there is so much potential for him to become even a bigger face of the NBA because the Celtics are a huge brand. The Celtics are due, and the Celtics haven't won for a while. And him being the guy to get them over the hump will be a huge resume piece going forward, whether it's in, where does this guy rank conversations or just like Celtic lore, like, I don't know, where does he belong in the franchise's history, like that kind of thing. It is important. Like this context does matter.
I think what's especially bogus is what is going through people's minds, at least in my opinion, is Tatum has been too good to not have a title, so he can't have the MVP. Because Giannis won 2 MVPs before he won a championship.
Right.
Jokic won 2 MVPs before he won a championship. Embiid won an MVP before he got past the second round of the playoffs, right? And for what it's worth, like the Bucks, this was the progression. Giannis lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, then he lost in the Eastern Conference semifinals, both his MVP years, and then he won a title, right? And so it was like, damn, he made it to the conference finals. Let's give him another MVP. Okay, good. And then Jokic, obviously players were hurt. I'm not going to sit here and like discredit Jokic. He was out without Murray a couple
Mickey
of those
Mouse
years.
MVP.
It is what it is. But he, like the 2 years before he won, or the 2 MVP years before he won a title, it was like, oh, I wonder what Jokic is doing in the regular season. Let's see. Like he oh, he lost in the first round. Oh, he lost in second rounds, but he won MVP both of those years. Like, he won MVP after making one Eastern Conference Finals, and they were like, wow, made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. He can really maybe do this. He deserves the MVP. Tatum's made what, 5? And it's because he has made 5 that people are just used to that. And so they want more from him. And so they're not going to give him the award until they get the more from him they want. Giannis and Jokic, at the times they got their MVPs, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals was the more the people wanted from them. That was the more they wanted. And so that was like in their minds, they're like, okay, yeah, this guy's good enough. He could maybe lead a title team. He's good enough to win an MVP. But Tatum is too good at this point. That is still ringing in their heads. Giannis and Jokic never made it to the finals and lost before the MVP. They never made it to the finals before they won it. Their peak was the Eastern Conference Finals, and they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's ridiculous for voters. Like, they're in my heads, it feels like they are just punishing Tatum for being too good without a ring, which is like so insanely backwards that
it is. But I come on
it's
here every show and I'm like, I don't think Tatum's doing good enough. So I have an understanding of it. I don't think he should be punished as a player. Like, I don't
But that's
think Tatum
different.
sucks.
Your reason for Tatum not good enough is based on what you're watching. Their reason for Tatum not good enough is something that happened 2 years ago. There's a difference.
And Tatum even said, Tatum said, anyone who watches the games is smart enough to understand the role that I have in winning, even while sacrificing as a scorer. And by the way, still averaging 27 a night. So it's not like he's putting up 12, for example. But look, we as a society, we tend to kind of be, and I mean everyone here, generally speaking, we tend to kind of be comfortably dumb. And so what happens is there's these few flashbulb moments. Obviously, I'm excluding Sam LaFrance from that. And so there's a few flashbulb moments where those are our takeaways, and everything else, for as much merit and relevance as it has, it just doesn't stick in terms of how we feel about what we just watched or we're discussing or whatever the case may be. So Jayson Tatum doesn't play at his standard in the 2022 NBA Finals. People latch on to that to the point where you have MVP voters holding it against him 2 years later for a regular season award. And then, like you said, Embiid gets treated differently. So he scores 70 points. It lasts a little bit longer and gets a little more credit. And it's not fair if you were to just actually talk it out. It's easy to see how ridiculous that is, but that's how we roll as a society and just kind of how we're hardwired, where certain plays, maybe they're empty calories, but they mean more to us for whatever reason. So we put more weight on that than perhaps we should.
The Embiid part of this is just hilarious because everything you just said about Tatum in the finals and everybody has that stuck. Like, that's how I feel about Embiid. I'm like, this guy is like not good in the playoffs. Celtics always beat him. Like, is he really that good? And he is very good. Like, anytime you watch Embiid play, nobody has an answer for him except Al Horford. And he's a dominant force. He deserved to win the MVP last year. He probably would have won it again this year if he didn't get hurt. He was playing unreal basketball.
He was in the lead for it. It was just a question of games played.
Correct. And now Tatum is just, I don't know. It's always odd to me. They're like, he can't play the big moment. It's like he scored 46 in Milwaukee. He scored a bunch of points in game 6 in Philly after being ice cold for 3 quarters. He had a game 7 record scoring game against Philly. Like, he shows up. He probably would have had a monster game against Miami in game 7 if he didn't get hurt. And you could even say Tatum got hurt in that finals. There was a lot of talk about him having a shoulder stinger. I'm sure it's not comfortable to play with, but still, like, it's a thing, I guess. I'm the same guy who came on here as like back spasms aren't real. So I'm not a medical person at all. It's
even as a rookie, Sam, he nearly led them to the finals.
Yes, facts.
So the idea that he can't play in the playoffs or win when it matters most is ridiculous.
That's where he made his name.
Yeah, he hurt his wrist too. Hello, Adam. How you doing? Also, for what it's worth, Michael and Ashton saying don't care about MVP, want banner. Yes. Tatum feels this way too, but I would be very mad if something I did 2 years ago was being held against me today for stuff having to do with my job. I'd also be upset. I also probably wouldn't be too happy about it. So I get
it. Jack, Tatum is well aware and thinking about his legacy and what that's going to be, especially once he retires. Yeah. So you can understand why he looks at the narrative around his MVP conversation, where he stands in that race, and more importantly, like we talked about, I think what he's really eyeing is face of the league status. And he's already a face, But as we discussed, there are levels to that game. And so if he wants to get to the tier that LeBron and KD and Steph are on, then championships are required. And that's why sacrificing is the best path to get what he truly wants.
100%.
He has like the ultimate chance to just shut everybody up. Like if they win, like what's anyone gonna say? Super team, still the best guy on the team.
No MVP is super team. Yeah,
Who
that's
cares?
what they're gonna say.
I don't
That's what
care
they're.
about MVPs. I'm with the chat.
Yeah,
I
you
couldn't
don't
care
because it's
less.
not your legacy. Is the
Well,
point?
he
I
says
think
he doesn't
Bobby's
care
making, like-
either. Finals MVP
I know,
is
but-
worth more.
I know, but it's no. I know, but it's frustrating that like stuff that he's done to you. Maybe he wins it this year, and then if he wins a title, he'll get the MVP next year. But that's not the point. The point is it shouldn't
Also,
be held
Jack-
against him regardless.
People run out of questions. So if this season ends with the Celtics winning and Tatum gets finals MVP, and then the loudest talking point or one of them is, well, he was on a super team. If he keeps winning championships, you run out of questions and ways to potentially discredit his success.
I agree, but we'll see what happens. Speaking of success, Kevin Garnett also
legacy
talked about his success, his legacy in Boston. He was on the, I believe it was just his podcast, right? The KG Certified, talking to Paul Pierce. Basically said he didn't think he did enough in Boston to get his jersey retired by the Celtics. Said Paul Pierce was like, nah, we got you. Like what? This was weird to see. I guess I get it based on like the standard in Boston, but like he was a big part of that title run. Curious to know your thoughts. I don't pay attention as much to this stuff as y'all do or care about it as much, I suppose. So I'm curious to know y'all's takes.
So I think it was kind of a half truth on his part. Maybe he was wondering and still does perhaps, hey, was I good enough? You look at all the championships that the Bill Russells and the Heinsons and the Sam Jones of the world that they have up there. And Paul Pierce, he was a Celtic, not his whole career, but for a very long time in the face of that franchise for a considerable amount. Do I belong up there with them? And the answer is undeniably yes. He resuscitated a franchise that was dormant, that for some years had been a laughing stock. And what he did for the careers of so many in the organization, not just the players, but yes, for Paul Pierce's legacy, even locally, for Rondo, for Perkins, on down the line, but also for Doc Rivers, who gets to dine off that championship, and for Danny Ainge and all of these individuals up and down the organization that cross paths with Kevin Garnett in Boston. They owe a considerable amount of gratitude at a minimum for what he did for them. So Kevin Garnett, for what he did for the Celtics, is easily, I think it's a no-brainer that his number 5 deserves to be in the rafters.
Yeah, I remember leading up to it in the years prior, before the announcement came. There was a lot of back and forth. Should he have his number retired? He was only here for 6 years. All like, oh, you got to do more than that. And I always felt like he deserved it. I think it has a lot to do with the personality. It kind of reminds me of the Smart thing, where I don't think he's going to end up getting his number retired, but it does feel like he has a leg up on a lot of people just because of who he is. KG was the same way. He was the OG in that sense, where he was just a big Celtic. Like that was him. Like walking Celtic. He had the grit, drive, intensity, everything that people that watch this team want the players to have. He was it. And he did a great job of making that the team's brand. And when you hear people today talk about the Celtics or even the fan base, I feel like that has a lot to do with KG, right? Like his type of mentality, where I think I have it when we talk about things like championship or bust, always be the best, like all of the psychotic stuff that he was about, the fan base carries about them. They're like, yeah, I don't like Tatum. He hasn't won a title yet. I wrote about Tatum talking about he was the best player in the league for Celtics blog, and everybody was like, why is he talking like this? It's like, he should be talking like this. This is what you want from Tatum. Everybody complains that Tatum's not more like KG, and then he has a little bit of a intense psycho quote, and everyone's mad. Make up your minds. But yes, KG, I think, absolutely deserved it. I was there that day. It was awesome. And I think he has this connection with the fan base that is pretty rare. Very few players have it. He is one.
Yeah, if there's a guy who can spend very few years with the team and still get it retired. It's KG. Just the way he impacted the city, the way he impacted the team, like Bobby mentioned, and the relationship he has with the fans, like Sam mentioned. I think you guys put it really well. So credit KG. You deserved it. Absolutely. Ray Allen, Sam, probably not.
No.
They already gave his number to Hayward since then.
This is
JD
true.
Davison.
JD Davison.
Best to ever wear it.
Tough.
No.
I think that's it, Bobby. Anything else before we get to trivia here?
Did you
It's time
guys
for
see?
trivia.
Speaking of Ray Allen, did you guys see what Paul Pierce said? I think it was on that same episode where during the Eastern Conference Finals, his last series as a Celtic, I guess he was already looking at houses in Miami while they were playing Miami.
Who
I
was?
didn't hear that.
Oh, Ray
Ray
Allen.
Allen. Yeah. A series that they could have won.
That's whack.
Oh, all of the progress that had been made, a lot of it is gone. I'm none too pleased.
Poor Ray.
Paul Pierce,
Did it
the
to
man who
himself.
tried to get the hatchet buried, just made it impossible for sub.
Very
Put
tough.
cement on the hatchet.
You
All
let
right.
people know that Ray Allen went full Bill Parcells.
Ugh,
Sam, Bobby has a 3-1 lead on you. You need this. All right.
I do.
I'm
Big
tired,
game
Sam. This
today.
one's going to be tough for me to pull out.
Close the chat. Everyone close the
Oh, I
chat.
need to
It's
close the
trivia
chat, too.
time. Got a question for y'all. Ready?
Michael
Ready,
Hilly,
chat,
if I
trivia
win,
time.
you're on the duck boat at the parade.
Through the 2021-22 season, 7 different Celtics have posted a triple-double 10 or more times.
I think we
Read
did
it
this
again.
one.
Through the 2021?
Yeah, did we do this one?
Yeah, I think so.
No. Well, then we're running out of stuff. I don't know if I have another one for you then. I think we've done
Because
them all.
Koozi's on this card, right?
Yes. Yeah, we did this.
And he was a surprise
Yeah,
answer.
he was
It
the
was
one
how
at
I
the
won.
end. That's true.
We might have a problem. We can do the 1962-63 Celtics. Would you like to do that trivia card? That sounds fun, doesn't it?
Do you have like a general NBA one?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Sure. Let me find one. I have one that's like a Massachusetts one, but it doesn't really feel fair to Sam, so I don't want to do that as the main one. Let me
It's
look
about
here.
Massachusetts Hoopers.
Colleges.
Colleges.
Oh, yeah, we did the BC one, remember?
Oh yeah, that was a disaster. I gotta load up Amazon.
That was an
and see what we
exhibition.
got out there for new trivia.
Okay, I've got an NBA one. You're fine
Pull
with
it
it? I have permission from both of you to run an NBA one for the series.
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
Okay.
it's a perfect scenario for me. Because if I win, it's a big triumph. But if I lose, Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah, but you did it to
Control
yourself.
the
so
narrative, Sam.
Yeah.
you can control the narrative, but it won't be placed on me. From the 2000-2001 season through the 2021-22 season, 9 different NBA players grabbed 10,000 or more rebounds. I'll read this again. 2001 to from the 2000-2001 season to the 2021-22 season, 9 different players grabbed 10,000 or more rebounds. Name those 9 players. Bobby, I believe you go first again.
Dennis Rodman.
No, sorry. I'm going to give you a redo. This is not like from that era. This is that time to that time. Like this is from 2000 to 2022.
Oh,
So, yeah.
I never once heard you say from
fair.
from 2000 to 2022.
Yes, from the 2000-2001 season to the 21-22 season, that era. I feel like that's a fair, like, didn't understand the question. So I'll let you re-roll.
I'll go with Tim Duncan.
Yes.
Ooh, this is tough.
You struggling with the first one?
I'm not struggling. Like I have one name in mind that I really wanted to guess as like a freebie to throw it back to Bobby out of fairness, but I'll save it. I'll say KG.
Yep. Garnett's on the list. Bobby?
LeBron.
Yep.
Oh, that was an easy. Damn.
I thought that's what you were saying is the easy one.
No. Trying to think of like when guys came in the league. Dwight Howard has to be one.
Yep. Good call.
How many are there? 9?
9, yeah.
Chris Webber.
No.
Wasn't sure.
Sam, chance to take the lead here.
Shaq.
Yep.
Okay.
Ashton. No.
Really?
No Shaq on this list
The hell
either.
you say yup for? You can't do that to me.
I was responding
I
to the
say
chat,
Shaq,
and
you
then
go
you answered.
yup.
You responded when I was answering the chat. That's not my fault.
No
Go
more
ahead,
answering
Bobby.
the chat.
Dirk.
Banned.
No. Shut. I can't swear on this chat. You're pissing me off. What?
Dirk.
Yes, he's on the list.
Furious.
Center of the universe.
There's
head
always
ass.
something.
Shut up, moron.
Let's see. Longevity guys. We already said Duncan. I can't. Shaq's got to be close. Can you look up how many Shaq had?
Loser.
Protesting.
I'm not
Ashton, that's
protesting. I'm just
correct.
curious.
I know.
Can't because he was still in his prime for like the first at least half of the decade. Played 10,000 rebounds. I have somebody I want to guess, but I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm holding on. Is Russ on there? That's my guess.
No Westbrook.
It's a good guess, though.
In that time, Shaq grabbed 6,400 rebounds.
Okay. That's actually low key a good benchmark.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Pow.
Yep.
Ugh.
Pau Gasol on the list. Back to you, Sam.
I'm slipping now.
Okay, Eminem. Choking. How many left on the board? 1, 2.
Sorry, I don't have I'm not thinking out loud with this.
That's okay. I'm not allowed to talk while you're thinking, though, so I'll let you just think in silence.
I never said you can't talk. I'm just don't say yes after I give an answer.
I said it as you were giving the answer. I was answering the chat, and you said it simultaneously with me.
We needed instant replay.
No, Michael, not RJ Hunter. Sorry. Ashton, that's also
RJ
not
Hunter.
correct. 3 answers left.
I'm going to guess Kevin Love.
Okay, Love.
I know the longevity's not there, but man, he had some monster years rebounding.
Bobby.
I have a few names in mind. This could be the worst guess of the evening, but I'll trot him out. It's been around long enough. He's a big boy. Brooke Lopez.
No Brooke. No
It's a
Brooke
horrible
Lopez.
guess. I'm sorry.
I'm going to do
apologize
my
to
guess
everyone.
because I don't have anything else. Andre Drummond, greatest rebounder of all time.
No Hunter Drummond, no.
Kevin Durant.
No KD either.
Whoa. Slim Reaper.
I still have.
I am curious now how close. Who else? You said Brooke. I'm curious to see how close he is. That felt like a good answer.
It's my turn.
Drummond feels like it should have been close too.
Maybe he's hit it now, but no.
Can I tell you how close those guys were? Or
Yeah,
do you not want
go
me to say
ahead.
anything?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, Brooke got to 6,200, and Drummond is at. I need to go to totals, not per game. Drummond through the 21-22 season was at 9,500, so very close.
I'm devastated.
Yeah, that's tough.
He didn't play long enough. I'm sorry.
He has since hit 10K, so it's just not through the last season.
That's okay. I'm gonna guess Melo. He played for a while.
No Melo.
This person might have fallen off too quickly to get to 10K, but since it starts at 2001, I'll go with Ben Wallace.
Not Ben Wallace. I'll start giving clues after Sam's guess if you want, but you both have to agree to the clue.
I'm gonna guess Kobe.
No Kobe. No. Do you want clues?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. This is tough because I don't want to give it away with the clue. Let me see. I'm gonna fact check myself here. This isn't gonna give much away, but all 3 have been all-stars.
Okay. That does help.
Ashton, yes. Ashton got one. Good guess. After this, I'll tell you how many rebounds they got.
DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
Ugh, that sucks. Is Anthony Davis one of them?
No. No.
Well, it's over now, anyways.
Yeah, the other
Play
two,
it out.
one was best known for his time with the Grizzlies.
Oh, Zebo?
Yeah, Zach Randolph up there.
Wow.
And the other one, one-time All-Star, one-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Tyson Chandler.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great
He
guess.
did cross my mind, and I'm really upset that I didn't guess him.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's a series. Is that 4-1? Tough.
4-1.
Brutal.
Andre Drummond, I'm upset was not on.
You got
That's
screwed
close.
on that one. He
Nah,
was
I
right
didn't
there.
get screwed, but
But
it would have been hilarious if he was on the list.
I mean, he was right there.
For fun, the Massachusetts question. Curious if you would have liked this one better or worse.
Let's
than
do
that
it.
one, Sam.
We'll do it. We got time today.
7 NCAA Division I men's basketball teams play their home games in Massachusetts.
Can you repeat
7.
that?
Yep, 7 D1 men's basketball teams play their home games in Massachusetts.
D1.
BC,
D1.
obviously.
Yep.
No,
What?
they play their home games in Massachusetts. Providence is by definition
You
not
said
in Massachusetts.
BC.
I said BC,
Oh!
Boston College.
Big dumb
I heard,
idiot.
I heard PC. I was like, I really.
I was like,
don't
how can
think
you say
that's right.
no?
Yes, Boston College.
I was
Bro,
like, on what grounds is that wrong?
dude, I heard PC. I'm like, I feel like that's just like the worst first guess you could possibly make.
Harvard.
I'll take it on
Yes,
me for the lack of
BC.
enunciation.
No, you're good. You're good. Yes, BC. Yes, Harvard. You guys aren't competing. I'm just gonna put them on here.
We can do it. Yeah.
UMass?
UMass hanging on by a thread.
Yes.
Oh, man.
They got Frank Martin now, but I don't think the program's really made much
We have
progress.
officially hit the wall.
There's a few other layups you should get. There's.
Massachusetts.
Do you want me to not say? I won't say anything. I'll let you guys cook for like a few minutes, and then
Yeah.
I'll start.
Let me
giving hints.
think.
Are you guys going back and forth? Or are you just doing it together?
Let's go back.
Unclear. We can
Okay,
go back and forth.
No, they're not D1.
Think out loud. Who's not D1?
Stonehill's not D1.
No, Stonehill sucks.
Yeah, Stonehill's not D1.
They're D1 football now, though. Actually, are they D1 everything now? They recently went D1, but they're bad.
I'm so bad at this. I don't know.
There is at least one.
I'll
where you're
guess.
in yourself.
Yeah, no, I'll pass then.
Okay, Bob.
BU?
Yeah, BU.
I didn't know BU was D1.
Neither do
Yes,
they.
sir.
They don't act like it outside of hockey.
Northeastern. Reggie
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes, yes.
He cheated.
And JJ Barea.
BU.
And JJ Barea also went to Northeastern. We found that out
What
the
I
other day.
just said.
Yeah. I was.
Okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
if we were. Yeah. The 7 of these, allegedly.
Yeah, 3 more. Two more. Wait. Yeah, 2 more. Sorry, math is hard.
Holy Cross,
Yeah, that's the one I think Sam should have gotten.
Tommy Heinsohn, and Bob.
Yeah.
Conley.
Bob Cousy, Bill Simmons.
Neither of
All
you.
the
This one. Neither
all
of
the
you
stars are here.
Sam, you got no chance of this one.
I have no
Bobby
chance of this
should
one.
get it. No.
Springfield is not D1. No. Go ahead.
It's not like I had it locked and loaded.
This is gonna give it away. Neither of you.
Is it
I had
Steph Curry
to-
College?
No. I had to I almost asked for clarification when Bobby said UMass.
UMass Lowell?
Yeah.
Really? They're D1?
That's what I'm
funny.
saying.
It's so sad the college basketball landscape in Massachusetts, like particularly. Like I was gonna say New England, but UConn's pretty good. Specifically PC's not bad in Rhode Island. URI's been up and down. Shout out to
UMass
Dan
is-
Hurley.
18-7 this year. They're not bad.
So, like I said, they
Lowell.
brought in Frank Martin, and
No, Lowell.
he does very well in terms of recruiting the South Carolina area. I believe he got some transfers to come in. So, by UMass standards, they're on the upswing.
I meant Lowell. Lowell's 18.
Oh, UMass Lowell?
That's Lowell's
I don't know
18-7.
anything about them. They're
And
good at
last
hockey,
year
and
they
they
were
might not be this
26 and
year. I
8
don't know.
last year. Man, all right.
What
That's
conference
cool.
are they in,
That's some
Jack?
hoopers.
The AEC, Men's America East. They play against Vermont, New Hampshire, Bryant, Albany, Maine, Binghamton.
Bryant, baby. R.I.P. Jerry Grasso.
Bryant was nasty last year.
Yeah,
They got that
Grasso,
transfer
and then he
from,
started screwing around.
They got that transfer with the mustache. It won't
Yeah,
help, but I
Drew Eater, or what is his
think his
name?
first name was
Doug Eater.
Doug.
Doug
Yeah.
Eater. Doug Eater. Yeah.
He actually he got into a little bit of a skirmish against Syracuse.
Oh, I remember that.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Bobby, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I think we hit on it all, and we're on to Saturday night against the Knicks.
New parade for Bobby.
Yes, sir. Everyone's
Thank you.
invited.
Thank
Michael
y'all for
Hill, I'll see you
Running
there,
out
baby.
of cards was the COVID equivalent for this. So bubble.
We gotta get
for
new ones.
Bobby.
We gotta get a new one. I mean, it's not like you were.
I mean
tied.
that's two rings right there. So
It's also not like
you can't hate on the success.
No, I
it's
won't
also
hate
like
on it.
not like we got to 3-3 and Bobby won the nail biter.
There were a couple that was just we got every single one right, and I lost because of
there were
placement.
some nice back and forths.
All right.
But I did choke a few. It was
Thank
sad.
y'all for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to How About Them Celtics. Check out Bobby's work at si.com/Celtics inside the Celtics there. Now let Sam take it home.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily videos. We're doing these Talkin' C's videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Friday live. Our full pods are coming out Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and on what is it? Not the eve. Is there a word for like the post day? Whatever. The day after
On
any
the
game
heels of?
recap. Will be on the channel. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple. Follow us there for the full pods and game recaps right to your inbox. Make sure you follow Bobby on Twitter at Bobby Kravitsky. Check out his work as part of Inside the Seas. He will be at all of the home games. He's at the practices. He is a great source of info if you're looking to keep up with the team. Big thanks to Bobby for hanging out with us 3 times a week and beat me up in trivia. You can also find us via email, hbccpod@gmail.com. We're reading your emails each and every podcast, so when we record tomorrow, make sure your email's there. You can also find us on socials at How About Them Steez, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is just the name of the podcast. Our streams are there and on YouTube and on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's Money NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. It's it for us. Bye.